Thanks for staying with us. We turn things over now to football. Premier League champions Manchester City and last year's FA Cup winners Liverpool will go head-to-head in the FA Community Shield on Saturday. The match is the traditional curtain raiser for the English football season. Many even believe it will provide fans with a taste of what to expect in the months ahead. City coach Pep Guardiola says despite losing key players recently, his team is prepared to move forward and have a good season.
Try for the idea is Manchester City, not this play or the other one. We are all of us, and we're going to try to be a competitive team. Tomorrow start the first title. It's an honor to play again. That means we play this competition to win the Premier League or FA Cup. So always a big success to be in there. We're going to try to do a good game against. We know each other quite well, a tough opponent. We'll dictate a little bit how is our moment, our level. We just 2 weeks and a half, 3 weeks of pre-season is too short, but at the same time I saw many good things in this period, the 2 games we played, and yeah, with the guys we have, we are going to move forward.
Meanwhile, Liverpool coach Jurgen Klopp says the outcome of Saturday's match will affect how the rest of the season unfolds.
And the situation is a very important game. And the situation is we still have to prepare a season. That we cannot ignore that. So we played last night against Salzburg. We lost 1-0. We trained the day before twice. So pretty intense. That's what we have to do. I cannot ignore the fact that after this important game is a season coming up. So we have to extend our preseason if we want into the season. We play on Saturday against City, and we play on Sunday a preseason friend or test game, whatever, against Strasbourg. Then we play Fulham, and the next day we play another game, just that we can extend our preseason. That's what we have to do, because from mid-August on, I think, we play every 3 days again. So there's no time for training anymore. So we try to do the right things, but of course, the schedule is always a challenge to deal with, and that's how it is. Not the first time, it's always like this. And the game on Saturday, if it will it show a lot about the season? I expect 2 good teams. I saw last night, even when we lost, especially in the second half, I saw us in a really good shape. I hope that we can bring that on the pitch on Saturday as well. But of course, it will be a challenge just to play now 90 minutes in. I'm not sure how the weather in England is, but it can be hot as well. So that all comes then together, and we will see. But if you win it, it's a very important competition. If you lose it, then it becomes lesser important.
I'm pleased to be joined by a Belgian footballer, a man who has wealth of experience in European football leagues, Nick Blackman. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. I think it's fitting that we start by talking about the importance of this Community Shield competition. Do we round it off based on what Jurgen Klopp has said? If you win, it becomes very important. If you lose, then maybe not.
Yeah, I think it's very true what he said. There's the 2 giants in world football at this moment in time. I think it's a massive chance to lay a big statement down for the season and to obviously win silverware, which these 2 clubs over the last few years have been very used to.
Do you expect Liverpool to be out for revenge? And I'm talking about revenge in the sense that they lost the Premier League title to Manchester City just by only 1 point. So a lot up for grabs?
Yes, most definitely. I think Liverpool will definitely be wanting to lay an early marker down and to show that they have the credentials to beat Manchester City for silverware. As you would expect these 2 teams to be challenging for the Premier League at the end of the season.
And Liverpool, we have to remember the injuries which could affect the team. Alisson and now Diego Jota out of the Liverpool lineup. How does this affect Liverpool's performance against a strong Manchester City team?
I think it affects them massively, especially with Alisson being the #1 goalkeeper. He's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I also heard Jurgen Klopp talking about that they weren't fully fit. Obviously, pre-season, there's only just over 3 weeks, and they have the season starting in a few days. So I think fitness is going to play a massive part in that as well.
Look, Darwin Núñez comes into this team. You know, he started out a little slowly. Of course, scored 4 goals in 1 match in the second half. A pretty decent performance. Do you think Klopp will take the risk of starting him tomorrow on Saturday, or will he go with his traditional number 9 in Firmino?
I think he has to give Darwin Núñez a start. I think he's been brought in for a lot of money and there's a lot of expectation. As you said, he's not had a fantastic pre-season, even though he scored 4 goals in 1 game, but he's still a very young player. And he had a fantastic record last season, almost scoring a goal a game. It will be interesting to see tomorrow if Jurgen Klopp actually changes the style of play to suit Darwin Núñez more than Firmino, obviously, as they're 2 different profiles of striker.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the fact that City brings in, Erling Haaland as well, we know his record as a scorer. Does that change the dynamic of how City play? And will we see any example of how that will unfold on Saturday?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be very interesting to see. Obviously, Haaland as well is a different type of profile to Gabriel Jesus, who's now left for Arsenal. And obviously, Raheem Sterling has left for Chelsea, and his penetration runs in behind the opposition defences will be sorely missed at City. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how they adapt, how Grealish plays on the left or Mahrez plays on the right, if they're going to be asked to stay wide and put a lot more crosses in than we're traditionally used to seeing Manchester City play.
Let me ask you this. I mean, you just heard Jurgen Klopp talk about the intensity of the preparation so far. They played a game just a couple of days ago. And, of course, they'll have this game on Saturday, and then they have a game immediately after that on Sunday. Why do you think the preparation has been so intense this preseason for a team like Liverpool, who we know their tradition, we know how strong they can be? How important is it that they have this level of intensity so early in the season?
I think it's massively important. If you become, we've become accustomed to watching Jurgen Klopp's team over the last 6 or 7 years when he's been at Liverpool and how intense they press and how fit they are, and they almost overrun teams. And I think intensity and the pressing style of play with the Jurgen press is become a famous thing when you're watching Liverpool. So I think it's a massive style of how they play, and that's why it's so important for them to get up to top speed so they can hit their top form.
Nick, coming into these games, a lot of discussion about what Klopp said about having a shorter pre-season and the ability to prepare like the other teams. What do you make of that? Is it just Klopp whining for no reason, or is he onto something?
I definitely think he's got a point. It's not a traditional pre-season as they've been used to, but we've got a World Cup coming up in the middle of winter, so it's and right in the middle of the Premier League season. So it's very strange times for everybody, but I think it's the team who adapts the best will obviously come out on top. So I think they've got a very professional group of players there, and they're an amazing team. They've reached the Champions League final, and obviously they've won it in the last couple of years. So I think they're very well in position to adapt, and I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, and speaking of pre-season, Manchester City, they've only had 2 pre-season matches. Do you think they're coming into this Community Shield undercooked?
We don't know what they've been doing behind closed doors. They might have had a couple of pre-season games there, but definitely they want to play as many pre-season games as possible to get the players up to speed, and they can take that into Saturday and then onto the new season.
Phil Foden has been a key player for Manchester City for the last few years, huh? But he wasn't able to travel to the United States because of some visa issues during their pre-season tour there. Does he start tomorrow? Does he come off the bench? And if he does, either way, what kind of impact do you expect him to have, given the type of player that he is and how important he tends to be for that team?
Yeah, I think Phil Foden has become a massive part of the Manchester City team, especially in the last season. He's really stepped up to the plate. As far as I'm aware, he went away with the reserve team, or the under-23 team, as they like to call it now. So I think match fitness will definitely not be an issue with him. He seems to be a very fit young boy as well, and that shows in his style of play. So I think he's going to be ready to slot straight into Manchester City's style of play come tomorrow. And if he's needed, he'll be ready. And I think he's going to put in another big performance like we're used to seeing from him.
Right, and Nick, as we get ready to wrap, I want you to predict this one and tell us why you've predicted the winner. Wait, who's your football team before?
What's that, sorry?
Who do you support, your Premier League team?
Manchester United. It hurts me very much to say.
Okay, great. So, predict.
Yes, can we move on, please? I'm going to go with 2-1 to Manchester City. I think their squad is a lot more balanced at this moment in time, and obviously Liverpool have a couple of injury blows. They've got a new striker. They've also lost Sadio Mane, who's a massive player for Liverpool. So I'm going to go with 2-1 to Manchester City.
Well, that makes me very happy. I'm a Manchester City fan sitting next to a Liverpool man. And trust me, this is a die-hard Liverpool fan. So we'll see tomorrow. Nick, I want to thank you so much for talking to us, and we'll chat again.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a good evening.
And I hope you're wrong.
You're right.
We'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Game on, of course. Nick
Thank
Blackman
you.
there joining us from, he's a Bayesian footballer and of course an expert when it comes to European football. Well, Leighton, I won't even bother to ask you your prediction.
Actually,
because-
I'm agreeing with him. I think the injuries with Liverpool and the fact that they're betting in a new player and the fact that Sadio Mane is not there anymore at Bayern Munich now enjoying good times there, I think City has the advantage here because Sadio Mane, the latter part of last season, he was the player who carried Liverpool. Mohamed Salah didn't have a great end to the last season, and in the preseason so far, we haven't seen anything to suggest that he's back to his scoring best form. So, you know, I'm feeling like City has a definite advantage going into the Community Shield.
Well, I feel like I don't need to say anything going into the break.